What's up, Instagram? Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Someday on lockdown, we'll call it Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's hanging. People are trying to get out. People are trying to get back to work. People are still locked down. It's all unclear. It's all very confusing, but I hope everybody's hanging in there. We're hanging in there. The Henry family's hanging in there. We just had, my wife Sarah made some tacos. Imagine that today. And I'm going to get my guest on here in just 1 second. Sit tight for just 1 second, if you would, Reagan. So yeah, we had some Cinco de Mayo stuff. I guess we can talk about that with Reagan. So I want to thank Todd Frazier for coming on last night. And Todd is a baseball star and worked a long, hard time to get to be that. He rode the bus on the minor leagues for years and ate peanut butter and jellies and thought about quitting, but he stuck it out because that's what he loves to do, and he knew that if he kept doing it, he would get there. So thanks again, Todd, for last night coming on. Tomorrow night I've got Cara Vallo. She is the executive producer of Family Guy, one of the executive producers. She's the head cheese as far as production goes, and she will have a lot of interesting things to say about Family Guy, American Dad, Cosmos, and the entertainment business in general. And then on Thursday, I have the one and only Al Franken, who has become a good friend of mine over the last 6 months or so. And I'm really looking forward to having Al on and talking about his inspirations for comedy and following his passion into comedy and then into politics. So tonight I have a lovely lady joining me in just a moment. Reagan Gomez I know Reagan because she played Roberta on the Cleveland show, Cleveland's stepdaughter. And she is awesome. And I know her husband, Psych, Dwayne, as well. It's been a long time since I've connected with these guys, so I'm looking forward to catching up with Reagan. And she I think she made her big splash on WB's The Parenthood, the sitcom back in the day, and then she was also in another movie with a friend of mine that I'm going to ask her about. So I'm hitting the button here to get Reagan on in here, and I look forward to catching up with Reagan in 3, 2, 1. Hey!
Hey, Mike, how are you? How are you?
You look great. I like the hair.
Oh, well, it's big. Yeah, it's big hair. Big hair. Big hair don't care.
That's cool. Now you old lady, you got glasses, huh?
I know.
I'm not wearing mine right now, but I read with them.
Oh, my vision is horrible. I have to wear them all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how you been? I think we probably haven't seen each other in person in probably 7 years or so.
Oh, God, has it been that long? Well, my son just turned 9 like 4 weeks ago, and yeah, it's been about that long. Yeah.
And he would be in the baby Bjorn while you were recording.
I know. You have to send me some of those pictures because I know you took pictures when that happened.
I got it. I actually have a bunch in an archive. I can get a hold of those, and I'll
please. Yes, please.
But my kids are all pretty much grown up. Jack, my son, is 16. He's 6'1".
Oh my gosh.
And Josie, my daughter, is 12. And
wow.
It just rolls, as you
know.
That's
amazing. Yeah, Scarlett, I'm all sweaty because I was trying to get ready. Scarlett is going to be 13 in May.
Yeah.
It's crazy. She's taller than me now, which is insane. But yeah.
We're all old.
I know.
I'm just kidding. I don't feel old at all.
I don't either.
So I appreciate you jumping on here with me. So when we got locked down, I had this idea of like, what can I do? And so I've always enjoyed talking to friends, and I do some college talks about following your passion. And so I've been just talking to friends who I know who are doing what they want to do with their life. And I've had a lot of great people on. Had Craig Robinson on, Seth MacFarlane, Jamie Kennedy Federline to your Roberta jumped in last week when you had to bail. And I appreciate you jumping in tonight because
for sure.
John Oates from Hall & Oates he had some technical problems, so he's going to join me next week. So it all worked out.
Oh, nice, nice.
So
Well, I'm glad to be here.
yeah, awesome. And you're in LA and I'm in Virginia.
Yes, and I don't know what the weather is like there, but it is so hot. I have the air on and I'm still, as you can see, sweating. It's so
Right.
hot. But yeah, we're in LA. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you're a Southern guy, so you're in Virginia. I love
Well,
that you stayed in Virginia and didn't move out here.
well, I was there for a bit and now I'm back.
Hmm.
And maybe we may go back out there at some point. I don't know. I like being in both places because I think
Yeah,
the diversity and not necessarily the racial diversity, but just sort of the points of view. Like here is a
yeah.
very kind of down home place, and people are born here and they stay here and they have their
Hmm.
kids and they stay here. And
Yeah,
out there, everyone's going out to pursue something, and so it's a
yeah.
whole different vibe. And I love kind of being one of the more,
Real.
yeah, it peels it back for you. So
I hear
it's
you.
cool.
And Dwayne, my husband, is born and raised in Pasadena. So both sides of his family are local. And,
Yeah,
he's in the business, I'm in the business, but their family is very grounded, which is what I love for my kids because I'm not from LA.
yeah.
So, my kids had, two great grandmothers up until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago.
That's some
So
good genes.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, that real sense of family, they definitely have that,
Yeah.
on my husband's side. So I definitely know what you're talking about. And so many people
Sweet.
don't have that because they moved to LA from other places. So
Right, right. So, that kind of ties in, let's talk about when you first kind of discovered that you loved acting or were a good entertainer or kept people laughing or,
for
what were your
sure.
first memories? And you were, I think I just read your bio real quick online as you're born in
Yeah.
Detroit and then you
Yeah.
moved, at what J, and tell me about that. And then I know you moved to Philadelphia.
Sure.
So,
So, yeah, my both of my parents are born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. They are both baby boomers. They're both 54, so they were around when everybody had a good job at the car companies. They were around when Motown was just it.
hmm,
It was everything. So I love hearing about their stories, from that time,
yeah.
because the city is unfortunately so different right now. But my mom went to a performing arts high school. If
Hmm.
any of the people watching are from Detroit, Cass Tech is like a big deal. She still talks. She loves the fact that she went to Cass Tech. So she was in the business as a writer and an actor. And I really started, I think, pursuing acting when we moved to Philadelphia. We moved to Philadelphia when I was about 8. I was the only Black girl in my entire class because my parents went to Catholic school and I had to
Okay.
follow that tradition. So I was the
Wow.
only Black kid in my whole entire class. And that was maybe 4th grade. And around that time, it's like you're becoming a young woman. And I was not very confident. So my mom enrolled me in a Black theater program in
Oh, good.
Philadelphia, and I just blossomed after that. I loved it. I loved being on stage, and we would go back and forth to New York all the time for auditions and stuff, and I would do independent films. The summer I graduated 8th grade, which was the summer of 94, my mom was like, let's just go to California. She had a friend in Inglewood.
Hmm.
Let's just go and see what happens. So we took the Greyhound bus from Philly to LA. It took like 5 days. My mom lost
Wow.
her purse in Arizona. It was a
Oh,
big to do. But we got to California. And within a month, I had an agent and a manager. And within 2 months, I had booked Disney remake movie Freaky Friday, which starred Shelley Long, who was this actress from Cheers, if
oh
y'all
yeah.
young people don't know. So it was a big deal. So I got that, and then I got a pilot for a new network called the WB, and I booked that pilot, and the show got picked up, and we had to move to California. So that's how that happened.
So were you planning on just going for the summer and kind of seeing what was out there or something?
Yes,
Or
and
okay.
I was so mad because I wanted to start ninth grade at this high school that it was Germantown Academy. I went there for 8th grade, and I was so excited to start ninth grade. And I was not mad, but just like I
Yeah.
was a kid, and I was wanted to start ninth grade. And I remember my dad took me to Denny's, and he was like, "Look, this is a really good opportunity. I don't know if an opportunity like this is going to come back your way." So then it made it okay. So then we moved to, California, and I started the show, and the show was on for 5 years. Yep, that's how I
Yeah.
got my start. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, a lot of what I like to focus on is people's mindset. Like you
Yeah.
hear the story, like you moved and then this happened, and you touched a little bit on how you were disappointed not to go back, but was it was kind of when you put your head on the pillow at night, you knew deep down, I got it. This is absolutely what I want to do. Is that
it was, and I had an amazing experience. Like, The Parenthood for me was such a great show to be the foundation for what this business was for someone like me. Like, they were very protective over the children on the show. I played the oldest daughter. And I learned a lot as far as the business. Watching Robert Townsend was the star of that show, and he's like a legend in his own right. But just watching the battles that he had to fight early on in season 1, because it was a new network and they wanted us to be a show that we weren't necessarily. So he fought hard.
right?
And there are lessons that I learned from him as a director myself that I didn't even realize I'd learned until I got much older. So, yeah.
The Hollywood Shuffle. So,
yeah.
So what were the specifics of that? Were they trying to, you said it was a new network they were trying to find.
Yes.
Were they trying to just homogenize and make it safe?
So this was the deal. They originally wanted us to be kind of a Black Married with Children. And Married with Children is a great show. It's a classic show. And I remember even at that time, Unhappily Ever After or something like that. There was like a Married with Children spinoff on the WB at that time. But they wanted us to be that. And, you know, we know from the Cleveland show, like if it's a Black family show, there's certain things that you have to have there that maybe you can get away with not having on other shows. That heart and soul, they weren't really... Yeah. They didn't really care about that. That wasn't like one of their priorities. And for Robert, it absolutely was. So those were just the... and you know, just being a new producer, and this is your first like big show, there are things that you have to learn about what you want to fight for and other things that you're kind of willing to let go away. So he fought a lot in that first season. In the second season, we got all new producers and everything, and that's when we really started rolling. Yeah.
It's funny how you know, the fewer sort of creative, if somebody has a strong creative take, let them go, you know, like,
for sure.
You know, you can't do it by committee. I mean, that's why so much that gets produced is not good, because it's so predictable and it's just a committee. But so you were, how old were you? 15?
I was 14. 14. We ended the show when I was 18 or 19. Yeah. Okay. And I got married very shortly after that.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good plan.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So when did so where did you go from there? Now, was it the kind of thing that you were auditioning for movies and meeting other casting people while
Can
you
I
were
tell
on
you?
show?
Okay, so I did Jerry Maguire, who, you know, if you guys have seen the movie,
Sure.
I'm the girl who answers the phone when Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character gets knocked out. I say, hello, it's Jerry Maguire, and I hand the phone to Regina King. So I did that. I actually, either season 2 or season 3, I actually booked She's All That, which was, there were so many like teen movies back then. And Rachel Lee Cook, we had the same management at the time. She was the star of that movie. I actually booked that movie, and the network would not let me leave to go do it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that.
You learned a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot of that. So, but you know, I mean, I still had a job to go to every day, but yeah, it was a lot of that. But it really, after The Parenthood, it was a very weird time for me, because it's like, either you're really excited to get the girl that, you know, was on a show that you loved, who was the teenage girl, either you're like in a rush to get her in like a sexy role or whatever, or it's like you still look at her as like a young girl. So I went through a lot of the latter up until maybe I was 25 or something like that. So, but in my 20s, you know, I did films and stuff and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you do Love Don't Cost a Thing? When was that?
I was about 20. Actually, that was my early. So I was about 23 or 24. Yeah. Okay. And that's what a lot of the younger millennials recognize me from. Yeah.
Right. You were in my buddy Al Thompson was in there.
Yeah.
Al was on here a couple of weeks ago. I love Al.
Sweet.
Yeah. Al and I met in New York City. We took the same, we were in the same acting class.
Okay.
And, my brother and I were shooting short films, and he was in a couple of them, and then we just became great friends. And
that's great.
Yeah, so Al's dynamite. So
yeah, for sure. He helped me a lot, actually. later on in my career when I started writing and producing web series. He was actually a producer on my first web series, so he's
Was he
great.
really?
Yeah, he
Okay.
was. Yeah.
Because he was, what, Johnny B. Homeless or with a couch diver, or he
He
had,
was doing, yeah, he was
yeah,
doing a bunch of web series. Yeah.
yeah, cool, cool. So, all right, so you grew up in Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
then you moved to LA, and you
Mhm.
immediately booked a series that ran for 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, was, I mean, what did you meet other people along the way? Like, were there people back in Philadelphia who
Mhm.
maybe that you've run into since that are kind of living with any kind of regret or anything? Like the people that just kind of didn't, that wish
Hmm.
they had followed you out or that kind of thing? Because
Oh
a lot of,
wow.
I'm trying to talk to people that might not be doing exactly what they want to do, and give
Mhm.
them some props to, now it's such a great time with the lockdowns that
Yeah.
it's sort of a reassessing time. And
Oh, for sure.
I guess what I try to mention or focus on a little bit each night is just kind of what ifs, and
Mhm.
if you met people along the way, or is there anything that you feel like maybe you wished you had done that you didn't do, but it's fine now because you're
Uh-huh.
happy with your life?
Well, I will say I don't really know a lot of people who maybe wish they would have followed me out here, but I do know a few actresses who I knew, from my theater school in Philadelphia who are out here and have been out here for almost
Right.
as long as me. So it's always nice running into
That's
people like,
great.
oh yeah, seeing them pop up at auditions, like, oh
Right.
my God, you're out here. So that was great. I will say that, and it's kind of complicated because Hollywood is what it is. And, as much as we like to think of it as, it's fair, you just go to auditions and the best actor books it or whatever.
No.
It's not that. I've been writing for a long time,
Yeah, you took control.
including when I was a teenager, and I co-wrote one of the episodes of The Parenthood. And I wish it was a very different time then. So we're kind of used to, the kids from Blackish or whatever, writing their own movies, like Marseille Martin. Like she's, the youngest producer, I think, in like producer guild history or something, and she's
Wow.
15 or 16. So it's a different time, but I wish I would have had people who kind of knew, you know what, maybe there's something else she could be doing. I really
Yeah.
wish I would have had those kind of people in my camp and on my team at the time as a child. But
Right.
it was a different time, and I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing now. So
Yeah, I think it's a fine line of, you want to assert your voice. You need to have
yeah,
confidence in your voice, which you get as you mature and
for sure.
you have some experience.
Yeah.
But it is that fine line of like, I look back at the Cleveland show and there were a couple jokes in there that I just did despite a no, despite
Yeah.
like, and I look back at them now and I'm like, oh man, I wish I hadn't done that. They were like really dirty jokes. And, so there is that line. There's that communication or that dialogue between
Yeah,
you and the rest of the team or the rest of the world that you got to just, figure out as you go.
for sure.
So what was that like back at school, in Catholic school, no less? My
Oh my
my
gosh.
mother went to Catholic school, being
Yeah.
the only African American kid in your grade or in your school.
Let me tell you something. So I was not necessarily into sports, but I will say that around that time, so it was the late 80s, and I started going to the theater program probably around 90. And then 91, 92, as I was coming into my own in this theater program, hip hop was just everywhere,
Hmm.
everywhere. So that was something where, I mean, all the kids, at the school were great, and I had so many friends. And even being the only black girl, I had a lot of friends. But at
Right.
that time, the early '90s, being like a preteen, not in high school yet, not necessarily in junior high either, it was a really cool time where we were really all like, oh my God, I love Naughty by Nature, or oh my God, I love Salt and Pepper, or oh my God, I love TLC, or that's what
Right.
all of us were talking about. Like
Right.
MTV was like, we were all watching MTV like every day. So,
Yeah.
once I got into my own, like, okay, this is my culture. And guess what? It's popping. So that means I'm popping too. So like,
There you go.
it was very much that. I had a great experience at that school and moving forward, but it was a great, once I got, comfortable with myself. And it's a lot of that is just being a girl just in general. You get to a certain age and everything is weird, awkward. You're not necessarily sure of yourself. But once
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm the shit, then it was great.
Yeah. That's good. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, yeah, I went to a school here in Virginia where there was one black guy in my class. It was the same kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it was the kind of thing where it's like I guess at the beginning I would err on the side of just making sure that
Yeah.
he knew I was nice and
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
and then you just grow. But I always just wonder,
What's it like?
yeah, I've run
It,
into
it's very weird, but I think you have to have, like, I wouldn't want that for my children.
right,
But it gave me a great sense of who I was and confidence. And also, the reason I brought up I didn't play sports is because so many times it's like one or two black guys who play basketball or
yeah,
football or whatever, but they have that kind of celebrity where it's like, oh my God, he's the shit on our team or whatever. So they have the black cool, everybody wants to be their friend. So
yeah,
for me, it wasn't that, but it was definitely like my culture, like hip hop and like the movies and stuff. It just so happened at that time everybody was into it because it was still sort of new for us.
yeah.
So yeah, that made it really okay for me.
Right. That's cool. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to Reagan Gomez, who played Roberta on the Cleveland show.
Yes, I
And
do.
let's give a little plug here every few minutes for people that just tune in. Um, am I frozen?
Yeah, but I can
Can you
see
hear me? Oh,
you.
there you go.
Yeah, I can
There you
hear
go.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right,
I
you're
hope
back.
you can see me. Okay.
Yep, I got you. A little bit of
Okay,
delay,
good.
but it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Cleveland show, what did who called you about that? Your agent just called and said,
No.
we
No.
had a thing and just
Hmm.
to get on the open, we had Nia Long for the first season,
Yeah.
and I love Nia. And
Me too.
honestly, there was a call from the network that was just like, she sounds too much like an adult, and blah blah blah. And so it was literally,
Yeah.
you're doing this. And so that broke my heart because I fell in love with her watching
Yeah.
like Friday
Oh, for sure. We
and
all
Big
love her.
Mama's House and
Yeah.
all that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so then the casting call went out, and did your agent just say, you
No.
know,
I'm gonna tell
how
you what happened.
yeah,
So I was pregnant with my daughter in 2007, and around that time, I was like, well, you know what? I want to still work. I want to still be able to work. What can I do? And everyone people have told me since I was on the Parenthood, like I have a very recognizable voice. So I
hmm
thought, you know what? Let me try voice acting. I've never done it before, but I mean, I'm an actress, so really, how hard could voice acting be?
same deal.
So I went to my agent at the time, and they sent me to another agency who wanted me to take like voiceover classes and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't know if can we cuss? We can cuss.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
Right.
what the fuck? Like, I'm already an actor. So I took like these random classes for about maybe a year and some change. I had my daughter, and I was like, what the hell? Then I found out the agency that I was already with had a voiceover department, and I was like, well, why are you shipping me? Why don't you keep me in-house? So my very first audition for a voiceover role was for the Cleveland show. And I was never really a fan of Seth MacFarlane. Like, when they told me it was like a Family Guy spinoff, I was like, well, I know the show, but I've never really watched it or whatever.
Right.
So I go to the audition, and it's packed with like people I love. And I'm like, oh shit, this
Yeah.
is kind of like a big deal. I'm not going to say who was in the room, but it was like a
Yeah.
who's who of
Yeah,
black
I know who
women
was in
and
the
black.
room.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know you do. I know you do. So I went my first audition, either my first or second. I brought my husband with me and my daughter, who was like 2 at the time. I did my thing. You were in the room, and Rich, and I think the engineer, that might have been it. It was like the easiest
Yeah.
audition I've ever had. And I
Yeah.
left. And I think I got a call back, and then I wound up getting it. And I was like, okay, cool. I had no
Your
idea.
first audition. Okay, so you moved to LA, you book a series in the
I
first
mean,
month, and then your first voiceover audition, you book a show that runs for a few more years. All right.
a few more, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think? Like once you got, once you got into the fold, like your first table read, what were your honest
It was great.
impressions?
Honestly, it was great. You know, the table reads were great. The cast was great. I've loved Sanaa since forever. But it was
Hmm.
really nice seeing like this other side of Hollywood that you don't really get to see. Like so many people, like meeting Kevin Michael and like you and like
Yeah.
Cara, and like what really did it for me was the first time we went to Comic-Con and
Yeah.
people knew my name, knew the character I played, like they were waiting for me. And me and my husband were looking around at like adults in, I don't know,
Right.
dressed up like Halloween. We were like, what the fuck is this? And
Right.
then we do our panel, and like that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is a whole thing. This is a huge thing. So after
Yeah.
that I was like, okay. And then when the residuals started coming in, like, wait a
Yeah.
minute,
This
syndication? What the hell? Like
this
nobody
is
told
all right.
me anything. So yeah, for
That's good
sure.
stuff.
Literally, the Cleveland Show residuals have raised my children for like I don't know how
Yeah.
long. So it's nice.
Thank you, God. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed.
And somebody was just asking. This is Reagan Gomez. She played Roberta on the
Yes,
Cleveland Show,
yes.
and she is a wonderful lady. And so yeah, the Cleveland Show. It's interesting because I had no real aspiration for animation until I was very gung ho live action comedy, and then
Yeah,
Seth hired me to write for Family Guy at the beginning,
yeah.
and I was a joke guy, and he said create characters, and because I'd known him before,
Wow,
and but yeah, the animation culture is a
it's
whole
different.
different deal,
Yeah.
and Comic-Con sums it up. I mean, it is I use the term affectionately. It is a nerd's paradise, and
Oh, for
I
sure.
I love Comic-Con. It was never, I've
It's
never been
great.
a big comic
Mm-hmm.
person or anything, but the passion that is there and the individuality and the freak flags that are flying
Oh
everywhere
yeah, yeah,
is just
definitely.
so great.
It's great. And I don't know if because you've been doing Family Guy, and Family Guy, I think they go back what, to the 90s or
98
okay, so when we started doing Cleveland Show, it was 2009, 2010. Social media was kind of becoming a thing at the
starting.
time. I
Yeah.
was on Twitter already. I've been on Twitter in 2009. I got on Instagram 2011. How did you think that the Comic Cons were the same in the 90s? Were you guys going back then, the late 90s?
I've I haven't met. I've been to. Actually, you know what? We didn't go in the late '90s. Um,
Okay.
I started going in 2004 or five. I think it was
Okay.
2004, and I haven't
Mm-hmm.
missed one since. It's been
Wow.
until this year, of course.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just it's crazy, and I love animation. I love doing the voices because
Yeah.
I voice a bunch of different characters that have nothing to do with me and certainly don't look like me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I was texting with Sanaa about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
I learned so much from playing Cleveland because, like I said, I just didn't. I grew up in kind of like this all white
Yeah.
world. And then it
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't until I moved to LA that I really started having all kinds of different friends.
Yeah.
And, but we'd be in the writer's room and you know, one of the black writers would make a joke about getting pulled over or whatever. And I was like, does that
Yeah.
really happen? And like, they all just look at each other and like, what the fuck? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
hold
yeah,
up, hold up. All right. And it was such an education to me.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it,
And
but
you and Sanaa really were, the foundation of the show. Like she was fantastic. And
she
at the
is.
at the time, like a lot of people still don't know that that's Sanaa Lathan voicing Donna. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people still don't know that, but she was great. She was
right.
really great on the show, and we got super close. So I had a great
Good.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
She was hilarious. I
Yeah, she
mean,
was.
I mean, really funny. And
Yeah.
it's great that we have such don't let me too get me such attractive and funny women. Like,
I
like
mean,
I
well,
think
facts are facts. So,
yes, that's it. Absolutely. Um, so after the Cleveland show ended,
hmm
talk to me about what you've been doing since and why. What was
Sure.
burning inside you? I know you took over. You wanted to be in control.
Definitely. Well, after the Cleveland show, I was kind of like, okay, well, I need to stay, even if I get, another, TV show or something like that. I need to stay in the voiceover world because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Steven Universe. They specifically called me for Kiki and Jenny Pizza, the Black Pizza Twins on Steven Universe,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other things. But around that time, you know, around 2010, I was like, you know what, I wanna write and I want to direct. So I wrote a short. I was actually on Twitter. Everything starts with Twitter for me.
You blew up. I got to ask
Yeah,
how that
yeah,
all blew up, because I missed
yeah.
the boat on all this stuff.
That's okay. It's not for everybody. You kind
I
of like,
don't care.
I'm not really an Instagram person. Like I because I would have to comb my hair and probably put some makeup on. So that's why I'd rather just be on Twitter.
Right, right, right.
But the first year and a half, it was a lot of, you know, I used to love you from the Parenthood. What are you doing now? So a lot of my conversations were about, you know, Black people in Hollywood, how, you know, after the 90s and the early 2000s, when we didn't have the WB or UPN anymore, and a lot of networks were kind of cutting a lot of their Black content, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Black actors were out of work. So I met
Right.
this guy named Matthew Cherry on Twitter, and we were just talking about, you know, he was a former NFL player, and he was ADing on like a lot of TV shows and stuff. And he was like, well, you know what, let's do something. So I wrote a short. I went to Atlanta. He directed it. And after that, I was hooked. And if you guys don't know, Matthew Cherry won an Oscar this year for his short film, Hair Love.
Oh, that was
Yes,
him. Okay.
that was
Wow.
him. That was him. So, and after we did our short film this time, I was pregnant with my son, and I went on to write season 1 of my first web series, Almost Home. He directed the first season. He was not available for season 2, so I wrote and directed it and starred in it. My next web series was a horror sci-fi web series called Surviving, about 2 Black sisters trying to survive the zombie apocalypse.
So
We did that.
tell
Yes.
me what was driving all this. What was
Be-
your process? How did you decide to do this or that?
because I'm a writer, and I've always written characters that I wish that I could audition for. Things are a little bit different now, but at the time, you know, 2007, 2008, 2009, it was still very, well, shit. I mean, I have the Cleveland show. That's great. But when this is over, what the fuck am I going to do? Because where are the roles? Where, you know?
Tell me about it.
Oh, see? Yes, exactly.
I'm doing some
Cleveland.
other stuff. Don't
Yes,
worry.
I know. But that's where my mind was like, where was
Yeah.
at. Like, I have to do it on my own. And I had this YouTube channel, and I was like, well, who's going to stop me if I have the money to write and direct my own shit? And
That's it.
we did crowdfunders, so I raised money, and a lot of the original content on YouTube at the time was kind of more comedy. But I was like, you know, I want to write some scripted shit. I want to write some serious shit, some shit that you would want to see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. And for Surviving, we were nominated in 2016 for Best Original Show Short Form.
Nice.
So we got to go to the Gotham Awards, and that year a film called Moonlight was there with their director and the cast.
Sweet.
So it was
That's a nice hang.
Oh yeah, it was really, really sweet. So I've been on that page ever since. Yeah.
That's great. So how tough was it? Like, you had this idea, and was it just kind of like the world opened up, kind of like everything else you did? But
no,
you know,
the world did not open up.
Did you feel like quitting? Was it?
I never felt like quitting, and anytime I do feel like quitting, because even being an actor, I've been an actress for 26 years right now, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, this year is different, obviously, because we're home, but this is technically, well, pilot season will be coming to an end right now, but every pilot season, every audition, you know, even when we're trying to raise money to do another web series and we don't have the money, it's frustrating. Well, you know, too, as a creative, like it can be, it's not the work, it's the red tape and the bureaucracy and the politics and all of that other shit that you kind of have to get over in order to get your shit seen by the right people. So that is definitely very frustrating.
Absolutely.
But it's never like, I don't want to write anymore, or I don't want to direct anymore, or I don't want to act anymore. It's never that, ever.
Right. Good. So yeah, just, it sounds like you enjoy the process of making the art, you know, not necessarily the business or the red tape. But I actually did that. I shot a live action pilot 3 years ago that I starred in. I wrote and directed and starred in it. And took it out and pitched it. Nobody bought it.
Yeah.
But, you know, like my toughest critics, you know, almost to a person really like it or really like a lot of it.
Oh,
And,
good. Yeah.
you know, but it was almost a relief that it didn't sell because it was such
Yeah.
bullshit going through these.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And I'm talking
Yeah.
to a wall, like pitching this thing. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, all right, you know, but I loved doing it. I felt so alive making
Yeah.
it.
And I think that's why I connected so much with Twitter immediately on. Like it was
No
just,
filter.
oh, no filter. Not only that, but it's like for the community that I've created for myself on Twitter, like it's a lot of creatives like Matthew Cherry 10 years ago, or Issa Rae, or Lena Waithe, or even Ava DuVernay. Like I, you know, have been following her for like 10 years now. Like, so it's amazing now seeing the fruits of their labor finally come to be. And even
Yeah.
with me, or see other, you know, creatives in like, I don't know, Idaho or Wisconsin, like whenever would they ever be able to have a conversation with somebody who's in the business or ask for
Yeah.
advice or whatever the hell. So that's why I really fell in love with Twitter. And it is because of Twitter and the success that I've had as far as like people who are like, oh my God, I loved you growing up, but now you're a mother and you also do voiceover, and wait, you know, you're writing and directing too, and you just turned 40. It's like people are connecting to your story and they feel like they have, you know, not necessarily a say, but they feel like they've helped you get to where you want to be. And for someone like me who's like, I want to direct, I want to write, I am doing that. And, you know, someone who knows where gave $5 or $20 or whatever to the
Yeah.
projects that I
Isn't
want
that
to
great?
do. So it's really great. It's been fantastic for me.
That's cool. That's sort of the antithesis of a lot of my Hollywood experience, where you go and pitch on deaf ears, and then you have a
Oh
hit.
yeah.
Then you have a hit years later, and they're like, "I remember I discovered you a long time ago." It's
Yeah.
like, no, you didn't.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, but
Yeah,
it's so great to be able to connect directly, like you're saying,
for
and
sure.
you know that it's just all about kind of taking what's inside of you
Yeah.
and making it and just making it.
Yeah.
And you know, I really admire what you're doing. And
Thank you.
does Psych Dwayne play in on any of your stuff? Does
Well,
he?
he was in season 1 and 2 of Almost Home. We did for those of you who don't know, like you can watch all this stuff on my YouTube, Reagan Gomez on
Yeah.
YouTube. And Almost Home was a story about a brother and sister who leave Chicago after the death of their mother, and they come to LA. And my brother was supposed to go to engineering school, but he comes to LA and decides to become a singer. And I'm a fashion designer, and my husband played my boyfriend, who is a music producer, who he is. That show was really about my family because my
Yeah.
husband is in the music business, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law. So we had a lot of original music. He produced all the music. We had a soundtrack. This
Yeah.
is before Empire, okay?
Right.
Before that, and we had original music and a soundtrack and all of that. So he's definitely involved. We produce everything together, and he does the score. Like for Surviving, I wasn't in it. He wasn't in it, but he did the score, and that's
Right.
something that he's really interested in doing, like doing scores for shows and films and something, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So we work really well together. We
That's
do.
great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, as long as he knows I'm the boss and I have the
Well,
final say.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we
No
work really
questions
well
asked.
together.
Yeah. Yeah. You have the majority vote.
There you
Um,
go.
but yeah, I love his grooves. I mean, I was
Yeah.
listening to something he posted a couple weeks ago, and I was
Yeah.
right in the right frame of mind at the time, and
Hmm.
it was right on. So,
Yeah, he's
so,
he's a good guy.
so please tell him I said a big what's up. And
I will.
I was, I was trying to connect with you guys when we were last in LA, but it got hectic.
Okay.
I had reached out to him saying we should get
Hmm.
our ladies out for dinner,
Yeah.
and Sarah says to tell you a big hello, by the way.
Oh, yes,
So,
please tell her I said hello. That's my
yeah,
girl.
yeah. So we'd love to do that whenever this, as my daughter puts it, whenever this mess is over. So,
Yes, yes. I
but
can definitely get drunk on wine and hey,
yeah,
yeah, have a
yeah,
good time.
we'll hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's in the future? What do you where do you want to be? Do you want to just keep doing what you're doing and see where it takes you?
Well, I love horror. I love horror. I just love genre, period. I love superheroes and horror. And a horror movie that I'm directing called Charcuterie was just in the TFI network last week. And for those of you who don't know, the TFI network is a Tribeca Film Institute. And for the whole week, you can pitch to different studios and agencies and all that. So we did that last week. So we had 41 meetings in 5 days, which is a lot.
Wow, that's why you couldn't come on.
Yes, exactly, which was a lot for sure. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. Fingers crossed. Someone says, which I because a lot of people were really into our project. Fingers crossed that we get bought or we get some money. I know things are kind of complicated right now because who knows when we'll be able to shoot anything. Right. But I'm really hoping to direct feature films, and I'm really hoping to make my mark in the horror world and the sci-fi world and just genre, period. So that's what I'm hoping. Sweet. Acting will always be there, but I'm really like my energy and my passion and everything is really toward, directing the shit out of some amazing stories. Yeah, that's what I've always told people is if you have an idea, find a way to make it. Don't just find a way to write it. Don't find a way to talk to people about it. Go make it. Especially nowadays, like it's so normal for people to shoot short films or whatever and just post them on Instagram and post them on wherever. Like, you know. So yeah. So what advice? I mean, I think I know the general advice that you have for young people, or actually people who, maybe more close to our age. That are looking for a change or looking for something new. Maybe they just, either lost their job because of this crap or just having some time. I have had so much time to just hang with my family and realize what's important. I mean, there were all these things I was doing before, nothing crazy bad, but I was just like, I'm not wasting my time on that shit anymore. Like, even in the future, what is it as simple as go for it? I mean, it's so difficult because I think you and I are definitely in a privileged situation that we can be home with our families and we're not necessarily worried about how the mortgage is going to pay. I mean, I'm kind of worried a little bit, but I mean, because I don't know how long this is going to last, but I think both of us are in a privileged position because there are families going through it right now. I know. That are going through it, but I don't know. It's complicated. This time for me, it has given me a lot of time to be with my family and my children and doing homeschool with my kids, and my husband still has to go to work, but I don't know. It's just everybody's kind of coping with the right now the best way they can. Right. If you can, take a moment to say, and think to yourself, is this really what I want to be doing? And that's complicated too because so many, especially the essential workers, they're just trying to live to pay their bills. They're just trying to do what needs to be done to pay their bills. So who knows if a lot of people have that time to even think about that right now. But if you can look at this moment and say, what can I do with this time? How can I change things in my life? Even if it's just the way you communicate with your family, even if it's the time that you want to spend with your children, like it's so crazy that this had to happen for a lot of things to change. A lot of things that businesses and corporations have said they can never do, like work from home. Now all of a sudden we can work from home. So that means the 405 does not have to be fucking packed every single day on the weekend too at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I hope that this changes the way we do a lot of things. Yeah. So I really hope that for people, and it's a crazy time, Yeah. We have an election coming up and all of that, but I really hope that people start to see and finally acknowledge and pay people what they're worth, because a lot of the essential workers that are going to work, that are being forced to go to work right now, make minimum wage and shit, but they're essential. Maybe you should be paying them what they need to be paid if they're so important and so essential, which they are. So I just think I hope and pray a lot of things change after this. Yeah, I think they will. And, we've all, I've had serious tough times in my life. And, I completely empathize with anyone who's having trouble, especially
the kind of trouble that's going on
Oh,
now,
for sure.
and the uncertainty. But
It's crazy.
but you touched on a key word, and it's can. What, you know, there's all this shit that we can't do. We can't go to the restaurant. We can't go to the ball game. We can't even
What
watch
can we
sports. Blah
do?
blah blah. What can you do?
It's like
And
you can't say this is the most powerful, richest country in the world, and then in a time like this when people need help,
yeah,
say we can't do it. Yes, the fuck we can, and we need to.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it opportunity is there no matter how bleak things get. And I, you know, not going into detail, but again,
Yeah.
like when things were the darkest in my life, I honestly, I prayed and I just stayed
Yeah.
positive and I just talked positive and I thought positive,
Mhm.
and that gets you through. And it's true. And it even, you know,
Mhm.
people are sitting there right now going, well, how the fuck am I going to pay for this and that? And
Yeah.
you know, and now I'm sick, and now this thing that I've invested all this time and energy and
Mhm.
maybe money into is not going
Mhm.
to happen. And, you know, whatever. It's the shit's going to get better. It just is.
And I think now, this is can really be kind of a reset for a lot of people. Like,
Yeah.
we've all been, even like with me, like, I don't, so many actors, like most of Hollywood, we don't work every day. We don't work on a TV show every month even. So we have large parts of our lives where we're just at home or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And like, when I think about, what I was doing before this, just even outside of work, like when I look at my kids' schedule, like my oldest Scarlett, she's an athlete. She is an athlete. She's on a traveling team, a club team. She's in 7th grade. So many of our days we would come home, hurry up to do homework, rush to get her to practice, come home. She would still have homework. And sometimes she wouldn't go to bed until 12 at
Yeah.
night. And just that, looking back, like,
What are we
gosh, we
doing?
really had a lot, especially for my kids. Like, they're
Yeah.
exhausted by the amount of homework. Sometimes we would have 2 and 3 hours of homework after school, like it,
Yeah.
and they would be exhausted. So even how a lot of schools do things, I'm looking to see how they change, because even if we start back up in August, are we all going to come together? Like, what is the homework? The homework can't be what it's going to be. And
Yeah.
especially right now when, a lot of kids don't have access to the internet, and
Yeah.
what even is school right now? You want to keep them doing work so they're not just at home watching TV all day. But I mean, you give yourself a little break as well. We're not teachers, but there's just a lot of things that we were told can't change, and they can, and they need to. So, yeah,
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, you got to just have faith in
for
humanity.
sure.
You got to laugh at. I love to laugh at hypocrisy,
Me
and
too.
you know,
Yeah.
my first thing that I really remember was just I hated TV commercials because they're just full of shit. They're like
Yeah.
pretending to entertain you while they're just hammering you to buy something, you know. And so I would always make fun of that. You know, that was my first thing that I did, and that sort of caught Seth's eye back in the day as I would do commercial parodies.
That's
And
funny.
you know, but there's so much out there that's I think now it's so real that
Yeah.
people can see through a lot of that now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, much
Absolutely.
more so than ever, especially when we're getting empty promises made by this and
Oh,
that.
yeah. Can
You
I
know,
just also say, like, I know we kind of get wrapped up in, we both work in Hollywood, and I mean, you from Virginia, but we're both in the business, and how the kind of stuff that we do is not important. It is.
it is
Everyone is
absolutely.
home watching TV, and it matters. People do not want to turn on the news. They don't want to,
Yeah.
they want an escape because they're at home. They don't know there's so much uncertainty, like you said, but what's certain is that I can go on Netflix and watch a show that I love, or go
Yeah.
on HBO or watch the Cleveland show or whatever the hell. Like, art is
Yeah.
so important in times like these.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of love off these things. I've done them since the beginning of April.
Oh,
And
that's great.
yeah, I've done like, I think this is like number 21 or 22. And I've gotten, you know, I don't have a huge following, but I never set out to it, and haven't really had a strategy. But the
Hmm.
people that, I mean, I'll get a few comments every day, like, you know, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
You know, it's the bright spot in our day. It's,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And that to me is worth all of it. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know, I don't know what else to do during this time. You know, we
Yeah.
have some charitable organizations, and, you know, we're we're certainly aware of our relative privilege right now,
Yeah.
but I don't know what else to do. So I'm looking inside, and maybe
Yeah.
it's just kind of doing what you just said, trying to
Yep.
entertain or engage people and talk.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
I mean, it's the same for me. I did my first live. My birthday was about 2 weeks ago, and I did my first
oh, I saw
Instagram
some of that.
live. And
Yeah.
yeah. So, were you what? Okay, so you've been doing lives since April. What kept you from doing them before?
I didn't know you could do it. My friend who's in a band, he's in a band here in Virginia, Dusty Simmons, he calls
Mm-hmm.
me up and he's like, "Hey man, do you want to do this thing on my Instagram Live?" I'm like, "Sure, you can do this." And so we did it. And like 2 minutes in, I'm like, "I'm completely taking this idea from you."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just didn't know. And actually, I'm I'm having a YouTube channel. It's already up, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of bare bones, and I'm getting a whole bunch of content loaded up, including all of the IG lives I've been doing, sort of archived.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm thinking about switching over to go live from YouTube
Oh, sweet.
because
Okay.
I think we might be able to get some more folks, Family Guy fans, etc., to
Awesome.
start swarming on that. So, any advice on the YouTube situation since you're an old
Um,
pro?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pro. I think this is great. I think we're now in the time of podcasts also, which me and Wayne have had a podcast since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about, our experiences in Hollywood and him in the music business and whatever else, being parents or whatever. But people want to hear real conversations. They want
Yeah.
to hear real conversations. They want to know, what is it really like to be in a writer's room, or how did you get your start, or I don't know, what did you guys leave on the cutting room floor? They
Yeah.
want those real conversations, but they also want to know about your family and where you come from, and
Yeah.
why do you stay in Virginia when a lot of your work is here? Like, they want to hear the real. They want to hear the real. And I really think after this is going to be another reset as far as, what we want to talk about, the kind of
Yeah.
conversations that we want to have.
Yeah.
After this, you got to give people the real shit, which you've always been great at. So yeah,
Well,
that's it.
thanks. Yeah, no, that's important to me because
Yeah.
again, I hate to see people who live with regret, and I know
Mhm.
people that live with regret, and maybe that's what's driving me. But
Mhm.
when I was 24, I left everything I knew and went to LA with
Yeah.
$1,000 and spent 800 by the time I got there. It was just like, whatever. But I abandoned that fear at
Yeah.
that point, and I was young and
Mhm.
wasn't married, didn't have any
Yeah.
kids, and
Yeah.
so it was kind of doable, but it was still very traumatic. You're leaving everything and then you're
Oh, for
working at a
sure.
mall and waiting
Oh
tables and
yeah.
trying
Oh
to figure
yeah.
out what the biz is. But
Oh yeah. For sure. What
but
I would say, as far as your YouTube thing, make it so people can listen in their cars.
oh, okay,
Because for a lot of YouTube, you can watch it, but unless you go premium, you can't necessarily listen to it if you're not also watching.
okay,
So because we spend a lot of time in our cars, we'll see how things, what things go back to when,
yeah,
the freeways open up again, but make it so people can listen.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. People are
Mm-hmm.
asking. It's called Mike Henry Bro, and it might change to something else, but it's just got a few things up there right now. But a whole archive of stuff that my brother and I did for years. We did all these kicked in the nuts videos. I don't know if you ever saw those, Reagan. And
No, I did not.
it's utter silliness. So and a bunch of clips from Family Guy in Cleveland and
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of other stuff is on there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be pushing people toward that when it's ready to rock.
Awesome. Okay.
So I'm excited about that. And
Yeah.
it's cutting out that middleman. You know.
Oh, definitely.
Just, you want
Definitely.
Cleveland to get mad at
Shut
Quagmire? Come on. Oh, Roberta.
up,
Uh,
Cleveland.
oh, come on now. I do my best.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah.
Do you miss doing that voice? You probably do it
I
all
do it
day
on
at
Family
home.
Guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, we went straight from, Cleveland, and all the
Yeah.
other guys went right back to Family Guy.
That's so
So
funny.
I got lucky there. It would have been great to keep rocking the Cleveland show for a while.
Yeah.
It was kind of hitting a stride there, and
Mhm.
I think Fox wanted to diversify out of the McFarlane business a little bit.
Yeah.
Was the vibe I got, but
Well, you know,
Yeah.
listen, it was a great ride. I loved
Remember
it.
those table reads? My
They were
God, it was
great.
so freaking funny. We have
I know.
Kanye show up, or
You know what?
like,
Someone posted a video of me and Jamie Kennedy at a table read,
oh, is
and
that?
they were like, "Wait, is that Kanye West just walking in the background?" I was like, "Yeah, he was in
That's
that
hilarious.
episode." Yeah.
Sarah and Josie and I went to one of his Sunday sermons
Oh,
out in
really?
Calabasas.
Okay.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
My God, it was like
Yeah.
the spirit was alive big time.
I bet it
But
was.
he was always totally cool to me, and
He was
every
cool.
time I've seen him,
He was cool, but we have eyes and ears, and we can see what's when things change and what's happening now. But he was super cool when he was there. He was happy
yeah,
to be there. He was
he
excited and
was happy
everything,
to be there.
and we were happy to have him.
And
Yeah.
Will I Am was in the
Oh
house.
yeah.
And,
Even that episode, it was Kanye, it was Taraji P. Henson. I think Gabrielle
yep,
Union was on that episode too. So it was great. Yeah.
yep. Taraji, and she
Mhm.
played. I guess he was Kenny West, and I can't remember
Yeah.
her name. But
Yeah. It was a
but think
good
about
episode.
the star power walking in and out of there. It was really cool.
Well,
Not the least of which was Carl Reiner, of all
Yes.
people, the
Yes, for
gold
sure.
standard of
Oh
comedy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
He was 89, I think, at the time, and he
Wow.
sat in the writers' room with us one day and pitched a couple jokes that got in. Like, he is so
Wow.
sharp. But yeah, what a great experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Here we got one or two questions coming in here, and then we can, this thing cuts us off in 4 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Cuts you off hard. Any chance of beloved Cleveland show characters making an appearance on Family Guy? Auntie Mama.
Auntie Mama. Kim Whitley.
Kim
The amazing
Whitley.
Kim Whitley. Love her.
She is great.
Yes, she is.
Never say never, and
True.
and we'll see. But
Well, Mike, you have my number.
yeah,
You have my number.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Reagan, I think you're great, and it's been way too long.
For sure.
And once we're back out there with the four of us, got to go out and have a grown-up good time.
Absolutely.
And a good meal somewhere.
I talk to Cara all the time. I still need
cool.
to take my kids out to see her horses, but we love her.
Oh, yeah.
We love Cara.
Yeah, Cara's actually going to be on tomorrow night. Cara
I
Vallo.
know. I'm going to be watching.
Executive producer, Family Guy. And
For sure.
And then on Thursday, I'll just plug it, Al Franken will be on.
Okay.
He is my pal Al. We've been working on a project for the last 6 months or so.
Sweet.
And yeah, but I think your message is great. I think even though you popped out into Hollywood and immediately got a great gig, and then you pop in for one voiceover audition and you get another great gig, you realize that you want to be in control. That you have a voice, and the clearest way to get that out is how you do it.
Yep, there you go. That's it.
Awesome. Well, Reagan, I wish you all the best. Give Psych a big bro hug.
I will, definitely.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. And I may hit you with some more YouTube questions one day soon.
There you go. Okay, hit me anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Have a great night.
See ya. Bye.